Okay, go.
So HTML is like the structure, the frame.
Yep.
CSS is the pretty.
Yep.
And JavaScript is the functional part of the website.
Correct.
Makes that interacts with the user, or vice versa.
Yep.
How'd I do?
Perfect.
Yes!
Okay.
Went through some stuff last night.
Good.
And
you have questions about stuff?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I tried to go to what's the one newspaper? The online one, the
Washington Post?
Yes. I believe so. And I tried to go through and read an article, and it said sign in here to read the rest of the article. So I tried to go through, and it didn't let me. Was it the Washington Post? The not Reader's
New York Times?
No. Journalist, journal, something.
Wall Street Journal?
Washington Post? No. Wall Street Journal. That's what it was. Yep. And I couldn't find how to.
Oh, so this isn't exactly what I was referring to.
Can you not do it with this?
No,
Oh.
no. So there.
Then never mind.
You might be able to.
Heard this is good.
It is very good. See a preview button? I guess not. So sometimes you'll see, yeah, it'll have a page like this, but it will be blurred out and you'll have something over top.
What about like so for my school assignments, I would just look the answers up online, but sometimes it'd be blurred out. Would that be so?
Maybe, though one of the things I'd be slightly hesitant on would be encouraging you to attempt to. Well, this is the entire book. Oh, they left out 2 pages. Okay. You can preview and read the whole book except for these 2 pages, which I'm sure are going to super. They're unimportant pages anyway. Okay.
So, okay, then I won't stress about it or worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can go in and bunch of iframes here. You're gonna take stuff out.
I don't remember how to put stuff in, but I just refreshed.
Control Z.
Control Z or
Command Z. Yeah.
But it was cool seeing. So I deleted a bunch of stuff from the page and then refreshed it with the with that still open, And it was interesting seeing the different pages or the different things load as the page morphed into a web page, which was cool to see. Like it made what you were saying kind of come to life as far as it's a layer upon layer and it added different things and everything.
Yeah. If you could really slow down the entire loading of the page, it was more like dial-up speed, then yeah, you'd see individual things being inserted in and injected in to build the page. Each time you load a page, that's what it's doing. It's building the page with the content from the DOM to the vehicle, which is the browser.
Which was interesting, really interesting to see.
Oh, that's my extension.
There's one other thing. So my work got this email sent to us saying that Mac, if someone was physically at your Mac, they could sign in as a guest, but then have access to your whole computer, basically, as a guest, which I guess normally that's not typical. And so they sent out an email of how to block it or whatever. So I copied the page, or I saved the page to my email to just kind of see. I don't know if you want that, or do you want me to text it to you, or email?
Sure. Do you want to go over it?
Not like in depth, but just an idea of why it happened, what they did to fix it, why they had the issue on this update, and
yeah, go ahead and send it on over.
And it hasn't happened before. I mean, it's happened before.
Yeah, it has. This isn't a new vulnerability. This is they might be bringing it up now, but it's definitely been around for a while. That's not what I want, but we'll use that later. I have it up there. Oh shit, that's adorable.
So.
Yeah. This is what happens when marketing people who don't understand coding or technology find out about something that's been around for 20 years. So they freak the hell out and they post obvious things and say, we discovered it first. This is the key to it. And it's something that is like security 101, literally 101. Like this was like the most obvious conclusion after they came up with a root user. Like, hey, we're going to give a user all power. This user is going to have godlike privileges. What should we do? Well, let's give it a password so not everyone can use it. Well, that's a good idea. That's what this is. Okay. Is they're saying, look, by default, when you go in, you may not have a root user set up or a root password. So just set one up. You can do it via command line. In Mac, it's you do this or you do that. Those are the commands. Pass WD means password, and you type in your password. Or you do sudo pass WD. Sudo basically means root. And you say, I want to root change my password, and I would ask you for a password, and then you type in the password again. It doesn't show up anything. Like on the screen, it just, you get a whole bunch of blank spaces.
Oh, like Taylor Swift's song.
Yeah, Feeling 22.
Blank spaces.
So this thing that this website is purporting to have discovered and is leading you into how to fix is it's been around for so long that I'm surprised they know how to use their mouse and keyboard to make this to begin with.
Okay.
But essentially what they're saying is that if anyone has physical access to your system, they can do things they shouldn't be able to do. And that's true regardless of if you set a root password or not.
Okay.
Because something that you can do, if you have physical access to a machine, you can take a thumb drive, a little USB drive, and they can be tiny, they can be super small. I'm trying to, like, some of them are...
Like with the
yeah.
mouse, the wireless mouse?
Yeah, the wireless mouse. Please don't be dirty. This thing.
Right.
Right, so this thing, this is as big as the USB port, and this little node sticks out, right?
Right.
People don't usually check their physical system like this thing. They just work.
Right.
So you can get something like this that has a lot of data on it that is set to run at a particular time or during boot up, and it will, you can install like keyloggers on there. So it'll record every stroke of the key that you make. And then what'll happen is that later on the person will come by and just pull this out of the system, and they'll go home and they'll look specifically for like email followed by a string of characters that don't seem logical. And we'll go, oh, that's someone's password. And then we'll gain access to the password. So setting up the root password doesn't necessarily protect you from problems when someone has physical access to your system. All it does is it makes it a little bit more difficult. And that's, I guess, the overall dance between hacking and security, is that it's going to be virtually impossible to keep someone out of your system permanently. All you can do is set up enough blockades in their way and enough triggers and alarms so that as they're breaking through them, it alerts you and you can go and try to kick them out of the system before they get through. It's not always guaranteed, but it's logically the best thing that you can do. So what this is the first step, literally the first step in security. Like, legitimately 101. How do you do better security? First thing, change your root password. Change the default passwords. Yeah. So if there's anyone, I don't know if this is pertinent for your job, but if anyone comes up and says this will permanently protect you against people with physical access to your machines, you should have them call me so I can promptly remove their heads out of their asses, because that's just retarded.
If you scroll down to the comments, there's one comment in particular that is funny.
So good.
Oh, there it is.
I am Ruth. Yeah.
So, okay.
I
mean, I don't work on a Mac, so I didn't really pay attention to it.
Well, that's really the same for any Nix-based system, any non-Windows system. And, I mean, for Windows as well, I don't know exactly what the... It's just... Oh, I think that's just... No, something else. Okay.
So anyways, yeah, that's what I have for what I've done over the last little bit.
Cool.
And then looked through... I just looked through the... What is it called when you bring up the editor? The F12?
Oh, developer tools.
The developer tools. I've just been looking through those, trying to, you taught me kind of the body, kind of the HTML stuff,
Mm-hmm.
body, and then different things along with that. That's kind of, other than that type of stuff, I'd be a little bit lost.
Okay, well, we're gonna go into more detail about what these things are, and what
language.
divs are, and
English, and the height is 100%.
yeah. Do you know what'll happen if we change this?
Yes. Let's change it.
You were right. Nothing did happen.
Well, at least nothing noticeable. Maybe try like 1,000,000.
Isn't it? No? So I don't know how it would take it if I change the width.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's CSS though. That's something else. So just change the width of the page to 50 pixels. So it has individual letters. That's ridiculous. So, okay. So HTML. This says HTML5 tutorial. Don't worry about the difference between HTML and HTML5 for now. There is a difference, but for beginning sake, don't worry about it. There are enough common overlap that we're not going to get into the stuff that really makes them different. HTML5 is just the upgraded version, right? Like
Okay.
1.0 up to 5.0.
Okay.
This is 5.0. So as we talked about before, you have tags that you nest together to create content on a page. And the more you nest, the more you can do. There is a reference chart here in these W3 schools. I'm going to go in and kind of go over some of these and show how they work and interact. Kind of give you a visual demonstration of that. And then go into a probably simpler page and take a look at the content, the developer tools, and see how everything is lining up. So you can see these elements at work. So I have something prepared up over here.
Okay.
This is just basically the default. This is a heading, this is a paragraph, and these other things. Before I was trying to do something called an iframe, and I wasn't able to get it to work. And the reason I couldn't get it to work is because of some security that has been put into browsers. And pages specifically call on this security function to make sure people can't do any kind of malformed request. Meaning that if you're on a site, they don't like it if you host another site within a site. And they don't like their site being hosted within someone else's site. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to run this here, okay?
Okay.
And here's a different website.
Oh.
On this website that looks like it's part of this website. It's this website here.
Yeah.
Right? So I could do, see if this will work. I did this once to my to the CEO at the company that I'm currently at. So that's according to this frame here.
Right.
It'll take up 100% of the width and 100% of the height. That seems to be restricted, so let's do 1,000 pixels. There. So I found out that our main website had an iframe issue. Meaning, I don't know if you can do it here. Let me copy this, but if I do H, it's an H for source. Okay. Stop. So there are some instances, and it might be the problem with anyway. Still no. Okay. You can sometimes change the link so that the link is going to redirect them to somewhere else or something else. So even though it'll say W3 Schools or US Bank or securitymetrics.com, there will be an ending piece of information on the link that when you click on it will perform an action that you might not be aware of. So something I had done is I had put an iframe on Security Metrics' website in a link, and the iframe that I put in, which basically overlapped the entire website so you couldn't see the website anymore, was for our lead competitor's website. So I took it and I put it into an email to the CEO.
Would you only people working there be able to do it, or could I have done that?
You could have clicked on it.
Being a part of that and created that iframe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was externally accessible to do.
Okay.
And essentially what it would do is, like, if you can imagine this entire website taking up the entire screen here so you can't see the run
right.
or the tilt, but up here it would say w3schools.com.
Mm-hmm.
It would show this website, even though this website's URL is this. Okay. So what can end up happening is that people will use this kind of attack and they'll make a mock-up page of what you're expecting to see with an email and a password that goes to them. So then you try to sign in.
But it'll look like this.
It'll look like this, and because you can copy and paste the HTML from a page and the CSS from a file and refer back to it and say, I want it to look exactly like this.
But add in your own.
But then redirect the information here and add it to your own system. So it'll say, Gladium.net or US Bank.
Right.
And the iframe will look like US Bank. But when you type in your credentials, it gets sent to the hacker. And then they use those to log into your bank and steal your money. Okay. So the iframes are tricky little things, and you have to be careful with them. And this is something that I do a lot of when I purchase something. If it's a new site that I've never been to before and I don't know how their purchase system works, when I go to the page where I would normally submit my credit card information, I will scour the code looking for this to see if by chance it's sending the information to a location that I'm not aware of, so I can check it out. And we can go and take a look at a few places to kind of show you what I'm.
Well, so that might have happened to me. So with PayPal, I got an email today that said that to my email that a package had been shipped from Colorado to Texas. Yeah, I didn't do that. It was back in October, so I looked through my bank statements and all my cards, nothing had been.
In those cases, what you need to do is you actually need to take a look at the person who's sending it. So let me show you.
So it might be someone trying to hack my information by saying,
yeah,
well, we've sent this. If this is an issue, or if there's an issue here, click here to update your stuff.
I received a this going to be a no? I had received an email from Apple support. Apple purchase invoice right here.
Okay.
So it has the Apple logo.
Yes.
Thanks for your purchase. And it has this Mobile Legend Bang Bang 1000 diamonds purchase, $20. I didn't purchase this. I know I didn't purchase this.
Right.
But in here, you have a link. Okay. This link goes to this location, which is not mine. So if I do something here, where's my notepad? So I'm gonna is that a D or an L?
D.
D. Okay, so that's it?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna copy that. Use it. Just to get it around. So I have this browser called a Tor browser.
Okay.
Currently, when you connect with Tor, it sends your connection through a series of proxies around the world, and you end up reporting from a random other location. Right now, I am in Holland. Okay. So I'm going to put in this URL because this browser doesn't have any kind of cookies with it, has no saved data. We're gonna see what happens when I go there. Julma. So here is the URL it was trying to send me to. And you can see that's not Apple.
Yeah.
And apparently they don't like Amsterdam. So let's do. So here you can see they have a redirect apple.php page.
Can I send you this email?
Yeah.
And have you look? Let's see.
So it doesn't like it, but the point is that the
Had nothing to do with that.
has nothing to do with Apple. It has the Apple logo because you can steal that with the HTML. And they can make a receipt that looks like an Apple receipt. But the other thing you can look at is look at this this email address. This is where it came from. No reply -JJV H7 motorcycle at inbox focused apc.com. This is not an Apple email address.
Right.
So the idea of this is a what's called a phishing scam, where they send you something that looks legitimate, and they'll include something on the page here. And actually, if you take a look, see in the bottom left here, every link that I hover over in this email has the same exact URL to go to. Privacy and policy page is the same as the security, the same as the help and the contact, same as the view your last activity and the view receipt. So everything on this email wants you to click to go to this Apple redirect to this guy's site to try to make you put in information about your Apple systems. They can either unlock your phone or take over your account, which has credit card details in it anyway. So that is first and foremost. If you don't recognize the email address of the sender, disregard it. Doesn't matter how urgent it sounds or how creative a job they do of convincing you that they are in fact the FBI and they just for some reason can't spell United States properly. I don't know. But yeah, that's one that I had recently where you can see obviously that it's a phishing scam. That's all it is. It looks legitimate if you're looking at this,
Right,
but it's not,
okay.
because you can tell from the sender URL as well as these links.
Okay.
Okay.
I just sent you that to your Gmail. So what I did do is I didn't click the link, but I clicked on, or I went to PayPal's website and then changed my password.
Yeah, right here. So the email address is service@paypal.com, but they have this CS48 extension at this is tumbal-8.business, whatever the fuck that means. But here's a map.
Oh, man.
Okay, so you have this. Open up my Tor browser. And let's see where we're at, where we're from this time. Some of them can be really slow, because again, this is bouncing the signal, or not bouncing, but it's filtering it through 8 or 9 different locations.
Are they real locations?
Yeah, yeah. These are actual physical boxes in the world somewhere. It could be like someone's router at home.
Really?
Yeah. Or New Zealand. Wait. NL? Zealand, just Zealand, I guess.
Screw New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay, let's see where this address takes us.
Zealand.
You can see down here, it's all these sites trying to get information from, because it's
I got to this and I was like, huh? Wait.
ignore this warning and continue. Topeventvendors.com /media. Yeah, it could be a sales page. It could be a page that looks like a page that you would maybe expect. It could be trying to redirect us right now. This is one thing about the browser, is that it really doesn't like to be redirected. So this particular browser will kind of kick against that.
That's what it's at.
Oh, okay. And no, Netherlands. All right.
Germany, Netherlands. How do you know maps so well, but you don't know directions?
Very completely different things. Order manage site cancellation. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because that page was changed. Yeah. Yeah. So the link I put in was likely registered directly to your specific email address and your, I want to say your IP, but they were expecting you to click on it from your email address that would send cookie data saying it's from your email address.
So I got to that page where it said the last page.
Yeah.
Before you clicked ignore it. Is that bad?
Yeah. The fact that you clicked on anything is bad, because and I don't have a way to demonstrate this right now, but there's also the ability to sometimes via URL to get someone to change their password. Like, it's part of the address. It will fill out data on a page for you, and when you go there, it will submit the page, and it will change your password and lock you out. And then they'll get a notification, and they now have your entire account from clicking on a link. That's all you do, clicking on a link. So clicking on the link is the bad step.
Shit.
But
what do I do now?
Only thing you can do, take your pants off, start the revolution. Um, so yeah, here it looks like if I had clicked on it from your email, it would have likely looked different. What they're saying here is that where you're accessing this from versus where we have it registered to are two very different places. So please email us. We don't want to give you too much information because it's likely that we know what we're doing. So these are the hackers or spammers safeguarding themselves against anti-hackers who are probably in and of themselves hackers, but fighting for the good guys. So, yeah, that's yeah. Don't click on stuff from people that you don't recognize, and always check out the from. And if this isn't legitimate, then don't click on anything. Just there's usually an option to report it, right? So report spam or report phishing. And that does help because that goes towards different, um, like if you report it as phishing and they acknowledge it, then they'll take that email address and they'll block that email address from all other users in the particular space that you're using. So like Gmail. Gmail checks it out, sees that it's phishing. Anyone else that gets that email or emails from that address, it'll be blocked for them immediately, which is really nice. Okay, so let's.
So I mean, do I go as far as canceling my credit cards?
No. No.
Because I did click on.
No, you clicked on something, but did you input a credit card?
No.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have my email now.
Well, they had your email before because they sent it to you. But
yeah.
But no, it's likely that they had a special trap laying in wait specifically for you that I just tried to trigger, and they acknowledged that I wasn't you and said, "Fuck off," essentially. So when you got to that page that said there's a potential problem, I'm willing to bet that that was your browser telling you that, or your internet service provider and telling you that.
My phone did it. That's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know my Hotmail password, so I just have it saved in here.
So yeah, iframes, they can be fun, they can be useful, they can be problematic.
Oh, anyways, you sent that to your boss.
Yeah, the CEO. So I sent this to the CEO, an overlap of our site with our lead competitors, and he freaked the hell out. I sent it to him in an email, and I changed it to a link that I'll show you down here. But when he went to it, he looked up at the top and saw securitymetrics.com, and then the rest of the page was our lead competitor's website. And he thought that we had been hacked, so he came running over and said, "Hey, what happened? Hey, Kenny, where did you find this?" And I was like, "Hey, April Fools. Sucks to be you, dude." And he was like, "I can't believe you did that." I know. You fell for it so bad. You've been working in the space for 15 years. I've been here for 3. What's wrong with you?
So did someone fix that?
No, yeah. We ended up making it so that you couldn't insert an iframe via the URL. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is what an iframe does. Is it puts a website within a website, and sometimes this is useful because some pages, like some online stores, don't accept credit cards themselves, right? So instead of having them accept the credit cards, they'll have a third party that accepts the credit cards for them, and they'll use an iframe.
But it'll look like it's a part of the page.
Yeah, you won't even be able to tell that this box is here.
Okay.
It'll just be like white on white, and it'll just be credit card number and all that stuff, and you'll put in the number, hit enter, and it will get sent to the third party, and you'll receive back a confirmation, and you'll be none the wiser that you just send it to a third party that is partnered with the website that you're doing business with. And that makes it very useful because in the event of credit card fraud or identity theft, the original website that didn't touch the credit card information, they're not liable for that transaction. So it protects the company from those kinds of damaging events. So that's why some of these things are very useful and why it can also be dangerous.
Right. No, I like it. I think I had no idea.
So I'm gonna make this smaller, just so we can see the next pieces. So the next portion I'm going to show you here is we go back over to the reference.
Okay, that is, wait, go back to that other page. Defines a comment. Is that what you keep doing with the exclamation?
Yep.
Okay.
I prepared this page, and I'm moving up the comment as we go to show how things work. So the next portion is going to be for, we just did frames, lists. So you have an unordered list, and then you have ordered lists. And inside of those lists, you define individual items. Okay, so how this looks on the page is that you have a UL, this is for an unordered list, UL, and you open it, and you put a bunch of LIs in there. And if I was doing better spacing, it would look like that.
Okay. And then you close it?
And then I close it. But I'm saying between, like, for this ordered list, everything between these two are part of that ordered list. So if I run this, I get bullet points because it's unordered. Like it's just bullet points. That's essentially what it means.
Okay.
But for an ordered list, same thing, right? You have an OL, ordered list, that opens and closes with a bunch of lists in there. If I run that, I have an ordered list: 1, 2, 3. Waffle, Sanchez, fat chicks. Okay.
Wow.
So that's essentially how you do lists, right? You just say I want an unordered list or I want an ordered list depending on the requirement for the page, and then you put in the detail.
Can there be anything other than bullets or numbers, like A, B, C, D, anything like that?
I'm sure there can be.
Would that be just in a different?
There might be a different
CSS type stuff.
I don't think it would be CSS. I think it would be an actual HTML tag.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay.
I just was curious more than,
So that's those are lists. The next thing is a link. Okay, we looked at this a little bit last time, how I typed in boobs, and there's a link that said boobs, and you clicked on it, and it took you somewhere else. So with this one, you basically just say you have a tag where it opens as A, and you have an href. This is just a location reference. And this is where the actual link is going to take you, is inside this href. But then you have this ability to define how the user sees it.
Okay.
And you do that between the opening of the tag and the closing of the tag, just in kind of empty space like you do up here.
Okay. Okay.
So if I run this, you have this click here to find your true love. So if I click on that, I am alone, I will always be alone. So you have this wonderful clickbait that leads into sadness.
So on Facebook that happens a lot.
Oh yeah, like the click here to find out
like
which
Michael Jordan injured
Potter character you are. Boom. Oh shit, I'm gonna click on this to find out who I'm alone. Right. That's essentially how it works. And with this, you can also do the same thing where you have a malformed request, and this is what's happening with those links in the email. You have all this stuff underneath.
So my email was a link. They essentially right here typed in my email address.
Yeah, like
These bastards.
right? But hey, coding, fun times.
Good example.
So that's how you can create a link from one side of the system to the other side of the system and disguise it so that they don't have to look at this really ugly link.
That makes sense.
I think if you actually remove that, no, it doesn't do anything.
Is it there?
It's there-ish. It's, yeah, it's underneath. But there's no way to click on it. So. Okay. And the last thing, you can actually insert images to the page, right? Just like an actual, picture. And so you use an image tag, and then you give it the source.
Okay.
And you can set the parameters and make it as big or small as you want to. But then you don't close the image tag.
How
It
come?
just
I bet
stays.
you'll kill me.
I don't know. So I bet you I won't. So then you'll get this. You can insert a picture into the page. And this does come useful if you have things like logos.
Right.
You want to insert a logo into the page, you use an image source, put the logo in, and you're good to go. And then the CSS, you can give the image attributes like width here and height.
Mm-hmm.
These are CSS attributes that I'm manipulating inline.
Okay.
So if I took those out, I could come up here and do in the head, I could do a style, and then give image a tag reference in the CSS and assign width to 500 pixels and height to 1000 pixels, and then run it, and it would still be the same thing, right? I'm just doing it inline here because we're learning about HTML, not CSS.
Right.
So that's very kind of briefly how, how to use tags. Now, each of these will do something different, and I haven't used them all. I can probably say I've used 30 of them, but not all of them. Here's a cheat sheet I found with the different tags that you can use. Here's a link, an email link. I forgot what the anchor is, but yeah.
Copyright symbol.
Yeah, so
Why couldn't they just do the copyright symbol?
169. How is it just straight up and number? Is that gonna do a thing? Yeah, there it is.
I guess there's not a keystroke for a copyright, is there?
There might be an alt key for it, but
Okay.
like alt. Do you know you can do that?
What is that?
It's a T with a line above it.
No, how'd
So
you
if
do
you
that?
hold down alt, and then you hit random numbers in the number pad. So 65432. That's the alt key for Y with herpes. And then alt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the number 9. That's good to know. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is at. 1 through 7 is C that's pooping. Letter N is 1 through 8. And then whatever the hell that is 1 through 9. But
do just 169. Gun.
That's Egyptian, I guess. So
yeah, I had no idea you could do that. Can you do that in like Word?
I think so. I want to say yes. 169. Yep.
Looks like it. Cool. What? You don't want to save it?
Not a chance now. So, yeah, being able to come here and just kind of play around with how these work is useful. Let's go into what's a good page with a lot of. I should do this. Sign up today. Sure. Okay, great. This will do just fine. So here we have. I guess I'll talk a little bit about divs in a second. But we have a body in HTML, so we have HTML and a body.
Okay.
And inside the body, we have a form. Okay. And in the form, we have a bunch of different things. We have got a header there. We have here we go. Input name. So input is just a text box. Name is going to be the kind of internal behind the scenes title for the input box. Okay, this is going to tell backend code what to look for, where the data is coming from. Type text. Length 50. That's important because if I try to type in 0, copy it 20, 30, 40, 50. I can't put in any more than 50 characters.
I hope someone's name is that long and they get pissed because it's 51 characters.
That would be so funny. I would laugh at that person. Even if they called and was like, I'm so mad, I'd be like, it sucks to be you. It takes 20 minutes to write your name.
Could you change that to 51?
Yes.
Would it work? I mean,
it would try to submit 51. Yeah. So yeah, there will be some things like perhaps in the database on the back end, it only allows values up to 50 characters. You could submit 51, and then it would throw a database error. And that's something you could sometimes do, is sometimes that database error will actually appear on the web page for you.
Okay.
And that's problematic because if you can see database interactions and see that you can cause an error, and you can do things like this, where this semicolon might seem like a not a problem, but what a semicolon does in SQL is it ends your term, your phrase, your command. So I'm basically telling it to quit out of its current command, and then I can do you do another command after it. So this one will likely end up with an error, this first one. It'll come back and say, you didn't complete your thought, what do you want? But then it'll execute the second one, and if it's printing out the data to the page, then I can see what their database looks like. And I can ask it to print out tables, or I can ask it to print out users. And if I can see enough tables, I might be able to find a credit card table. And then I can just go to this page, to this line of code, type in the right SQL, and it will print out all the credit card numbers to the page for me, and I'm done. So, so manipulating HTML or web pages in general is a very useful practice for hackers.
Wow.
So yeah, they said 50. I said too bad. I mean, I don't really want to submit that whole thing because if that does bring back data, I could be hit as a threat for our. But I can do something like this, and these probably can't be blank, so I'm just going to put in R at var dot rar.
Oh, confirm.
Should I read the rest? Primary phone, is this going to require it to be a number?
Password has to probably be. Are you blocking it?
Oh, I did at least one student. So it let me submit that.
You're
So that brings up so many questions. Oh my gosh. Because if it actually saved that, so, but actually let me submit that. Wait, or is it as a parent? Holy shit. Oh my god. We could have some fun with this. So the reason why I laugh is because, yeah, they have a restriction, but they're not honoring the restriction on the back end. So what sometimes you can do.
So is this a potential like
Not,
issue for
it depends
them?
on how they handle things like this. Hold on, I got 5100. 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. R1, 1, R, 1 student. Okay, let's $1. Okay, so they're handling it proper on the back end. I think can figure out where's the value coming from. Okay. So it looks like they have 52. Curious what this R is here. Anyway.
So what does that mean?
What it means is that they're not quite they don't have the front end rules matching the back end rules, and whenever people get in the habit of doing that, it can be easy to sometimes find other things that don't match up. And where things don't match up, there are holes.
Mm-hmm.
And when there are holes, you fuck them.
Generally.
Yeah. So we could try to do more stuff, but I'm using my own IP address here, and while I could open up a Tor browser to do it.
I mean, I don't necessarily need to know how to. I mean,
but for the sake of the HTML,
but yeah,
we can show you things here like.
It's really interesting to see that you're able to manipulate different things to benefit you or them or. Yeah.
So,
and how to maneuver through things and read things and tell what's going on more so than anything. I mean, I'm never gonna.
you'll get there.
Well, no, I'm never gonna need to hack someone, so I don't really need to know how to.
Well,
But more the language, needing to read what it's doing, what it's performing.
well, if you go and work for a data security company, actually knowing how to hack, or at least be able to do stuff like that is helpful. Oh, they're recording. Gosh, it's a good thing they can't actually see us. They'd be like, why are these guys doing this naked? So because getting back into the HTML, you have an input field, right? So it's just a text box that you type into. And
is that the state?
actually, yeah, it's a state. But here, we have a drop down. A drop down isn't an input, it's a select. Okay, and you can also make a label. It's right here is a label for this box. You have a select. And for a select, you have a default value. And default value is usually
so someone copy and pasted that list there.
Yeah. So here, United States is the default value. So it has this additional attribute that none of the other ones have, where it's called selected equals selected. The rest of them just have the value of their name. So you have value United Kingdom and a printf page United Kingdom, or I can change that, right? And say fart sparkles. So now if I go in through the list, I'm going to find fart sparkles right away in the United States.
What if you were to click on that?
Well, that's just what you see as a user.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the underlying value is still United Kingdom. I mean, I could change the underlying value and say fart sparkles, and now when I submit it, it will try to send fart sparkles as the country of origin.
And it won't work.
Maybe, depending on how they have their validation and their database set up. Maybe they have this list on the back end saying, make sure the value is in this list before continuing.
And if as long as it's in the list, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah, but if they don't have anything like that, then there's a good chance that they will actually submit fart sparkles as my country. And when I load in the page, it'll say, oh, welcome 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to the 50th place, and say, how is the weather in fart sparkles? And you can say glittery, because why not? So, and you, like, I've been able to do things on pages that will actually take this value and run with it because they don't care. Like, what is a good one where you have pagination? You can select 10 things per page or 20 things per page to show, or 100 things per page to show. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, like
show 10 per page.
Here are these symptoms, select 5 out of 10 things that, like that type of deal? No.
Gosh, let's try Home Depot. I think that'll do it. Depot.com. I'll have to see if
You just get it higher.
okay. And I'm going to say brass pipe. Okay, 31 results. I don't want 31 results.
Didn't know that was where there was that.
Better ones. Great. Lots of screws.
A lot of screws.
Where's the option? Does it have an option on here? Please say there's an option. They don't.
To do what?
So usually, or sometimes you'll have a box, a drop down that'll say show 10
Oh, I know what you're
items
talking
per
about.
page versus 20 items per page.
I know what you're talking
Things like that. Let's see what best one.
Show all. Yes. Have you seen Wonder Woman? The Jasmine tonight.
Best Buy.
They did it, or they're going to.
Amazon will.
Let's see.
Okay, here's one.
Got it.
So we have
I was looking to
items
see
per
if-
page, 15. There's a total of 5,296, right? So let's go ahead and play with this. With the select value, oh, why? Page size 15. I'm going to change this end value.
Please tell me you can change it to 5,296.
296. So let me. Did it do it? It did not. Come at me.
Because that would be really awesome to not have to.
No, they have it hard coded on the back end. But sometimes you can go in and say, give me this instead.
Because it's really annoying to have to go through and
Yeah.
go through different pages instead of just scrolling.
little light one. Okay, there we go. Let's see if it's maybe pulling from that. Yeah, it's not. So it's recognizing that we're trying to do something and it's saying no.
Which is probably good.
Yeah, no. They're doing good things. But you can sometimes go in and manipulate that and say,
Right.
you know, bring me 37 items per page or whatever.
Mm.
Okay, so that's how drop downs work, right? You have a, what is that? You have a select, followed by a bunch of options, and a closing select.
That's really interesting, actually. It's probably really basic and boring to you, but
It's
I think
always
it's
fun.
really interesting to.
It's really fun to mess around with people's stuff. Like, you know, it's like going to a.
Oh, pagination. That's.
Yeah. I don't know how to get caught up in that. I'm gonna have to go and try to find the code that is not allowing me to do that and delete it, and then running it to see if it'll return it back. But I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, with the HTML in
There's a lot
here.
you can do with it.
Yeah, no, and yeah, there is quite a bit that you can do. You have this form area here. where you generally open this up, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have a bunch of buttons in there. So if I were to go back to Cabela's here, and I were to inspect, if I go up far enough, I'm going to find a form opening opening tag. All right. So if I go to, I have to do a Control F on that, but
This is quite the.
come on, you son of a bitch. Let's go with, there it is. Form. Yeah, it's those two places. So it's taking the form of the page, and then you have a bunch of things underneath it. So you have an input underneath form, you have a text area underneath form, you have a select underneath form. And when you have a button, you can tell the button to submit the data. And what that does is it takes all the inputs inside form and sends it out. Which is like a submit button, like that button I was clicking for signing up.
Mm-hmm.
That is a button.
Weird.
I know, right? And yeah. So the homework that I want to give you is I want you to make an HTML page. Don't worry about CSS. Just do an HTML page.
Kind of like that.
Sure.
Okay.
And I want you to include as many tags as you can figure out. Okay.
Okay. The hashtags.
Yeah, exactly. Hashtag.
Wait, that'll block it out, or
Yeah.
what's it called?
Yeah. Hashtag 12 also.
That only works in.
The Twitter sphere?
No. Remember, because you would put that and it would block out that line.
Oh, that's in Python, is it?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't work the same in this.
No. Each language tends to have its own commenting out, its own syntax.
What's this one's?
The commenting out is you open tag, exclamation point dash dash,
and then anything after that is
commented out. But if you want to close it beforehand, so if you just want to comment out twat waffle, then I do dash dash.
Okay.
And then now if I run this, twat waffle will be gone.
Because I noticed you kept moving that down.
Yeah.
So you wanted to keep blocking out. Well.
Yeah. So I had my end in place, and I was just moving the beginning. And now the copyright spot.
Or yeah. Interesting. I like it.
So and
I don't know how to do it, but I like it.
And to get like this URL
Uh-huh.
for like images or pages,
yeah,
you can just go to like Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
And go to the image. It's the one I took. Just click the view image here,
Mm-hmm.
and just copy the URL.
Oh, okay. And I'll have JPEG, I assume, somewhere in there.
Yep. Right there.
Which means it's okay.
And then
This is starting to make.
Oh, that's the wrong one.
More sense. And just when I say that, you're gonna throw in something else, huh?
No, that's really it. I really like this. Smiling face. You're always gonna be alone.
I don't understand so much the iframe, but I'm just gonna copy this and.
Okay. Mess around with the width and height and.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so you can see.
Yep. And then once you have your thing is you can't really save on this page. Like there's actually I don't think there is a save. Well, I guess you can save to and load from Google Drive. So if you want to work on it from there, and then if you want to send me the link, or you can just do, Command A, copy everything, put it into an email, send it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go over everything that you figure out, and if there are ones that you can't figure out, I would say just comment them out, right? So just put in like, just things to kind of remind you.
Right. Is that a real one?
Yeah, it's an abbreviation. I honestly don't know what it's supposed to be used for. Yeah, I don't know. This is supposed to be. I have no idea what it's supposed to be. But it's in there for some reason. You have an ABBR right there. So, yeah, we'll go over a page that you make up, and don't worry about it looking pretty. Just get the content in there, and then if we need to, we'll go into more HTML next time and dig in a little bit further, or we can go into CSS and start learning how to move things around and make them a little bit more presentable. So HTML is very not a whole lot of depth we can go into it because it's the same framework, right? Like the making of any building is essentially the same. They all look different, but they're essentially the same. CSS, there are a whole bunch of different CSS libraries that we can use, and I'll show you some of those and how they interact differently. And I even recognized some as we were going around in the code in different sites, and I could tell you based off of various pieces of information what kind of CSS they're using as a result. But yeah, so
this is really cool.
Yeah. Once you start understanding the layers and how things work, it gets exciting. It gets interesting because then you can actually start seeing what you're talking about and not just talking about theory.
Do you know what would be cool is if you could have it, how in Iron Man, how he has this whole thing, and be able to have that and be able to look at it like that and then squeeze it together and have it be a web page.
There is a, do I have? Let's do this thing. What did I do? Sign up today. Is that what I did? Is that how we found this guy? Okay, this page. Where is?
Essentially that.
Doesn't do it. Sometimes you can find. Let's see if. No. Do we have a? Let's see. Do we have a? Learn more.
Are you HIPAA compliant?
Sure. Let's go with. Just gonna. Here. So remember that this is here.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to. So there are 4 boxes. submit button, and then this other box down here.
Mm-hmm.
4 boxes, a button. Where's the other box?
What? What is that?
It is a hidden form field.
What? What is it doing there?
Well, sometimes you need content to pass from one page to another. Right here. Type hidden. So you need information to pass from one page to another, but you don't necessarily want your user to care about it. So you hide it. It's still on the page.
Right.
It's just not showing. So you can do the same thing with like phone here. Right? So if I take this and I do placeholder type equals boom. There goes phone. It's still on the page.
Right.
You just can't see it. And there's some tools like here I have with Firefox in this extension where I can display form details, and it will show me fields that are otherwise hidden.
Do those numbers mean anything?
Very likely, yeah. I'm guessing that, so this is what 47362. If I refresh the page, that's going to change, I think.
Okay.
I want to say this is more or less a timestamp. Maybe. Except it's not 2016 or April 5th. Anyway. But I mean, that's just.
No,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So as you're going through pages, you can go and find stuff like that. And that's useful for many reasons, but we'll get into that in future when we talk about strategy of building HTML versus just straight up writing HTML. Sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna stop the recording. So anyone watching, thanks for watching 82 minutes of this, and stay Chinese or whatever.